And there we go. Off we go, people. And this is the thing about it, because I'm not settled into it yet, and I'm half and half to sell it. But then you get on it and you don't want to sell it, because then you hear that inline four and you think, if you get rid of it, you're going to go and get another one, aren't you? And these are completely a different experience comparing to the NC. And if you watch my channel, you know the NC 750 DCT is by far my favourite bike. I try to compare everything to it, which I shouldn't do really, because every bike's different, aren't they? But this thing is absolutely, it's so smooth. As I said on a couple of the rides, the sides that go against it for me as I'm riding it more, and I suppose I made that mistake when I bought it. I ordered it when I rode the CBR 650R, and to be quite fair, the CBR 650R gives you a lot better wind protection than this does, and that's what I do find. That's the side about it I'm not in love with it with, because it's like now cold winds, it's hitting you. So like me, if you're commuting and you're commuting like I do through the winter months, this is now right across my shoulders, right across my chest, and we're only doing 50. You know, I can feel it. You can see it now pushing on my jacket. See my arms. And luckily I've got armour on underneath. I've got a couple of layers. And this Teletubby suit keeps me really, really warm. But if you're just in a normal leather jacket on this sort of temperature, you start to feel it. So that's the side for me against it really. But the handling of it, the power of it, the smoothness of that e-clutch, and you know, I'm sorry BMW when I done the review on the SA, the 1300, but it's nowhere near as smooth as this. Nowhere near. You know, even in my mind, this e-clutch is actually, because it's geared anyway, so I'm in 6th gear doing 35 mile an hour. But let's just change now. Let's change. There's no jumping, there's no clicking, it just goes into gear. Really, really smooth. It is magnificent, and if you've never ridden one, if you're near Yules, go to Yules Manchester, they'll let you have a ride of one. You will absolutely love it. I mean, it is really, really naughty when it wants to pick up speed, but I'll be dead honest with you people, that Ducati V2, not a patch on it. That V2 was a monster. It's still in my mind, that bike. I've never actually got on a bike that has actually felt that much torque in it. But this is smooth. And this is the thing with Honda. I suppose that's where Honda are just an easier bike to ride than like the Ducatis and the GSXs, because the refined of the gearbox and the change of them and the gear changes and the smoothness of the bike take the fear out of riding. Again, not even using the clutch, and you tend to once you've had it a while, once you've done a day on this bike, if you've never ridden a bike without a clutch, you don't even go to it. You don't even think about it, because you realise all you need to do is use your downshift. And again, just like the BMW, the horn, because the switchgear's so small, you like your big thumbs get in the way of it. Now I'm well out late today, but it's the schools are off, so we can get away with it. And you can hear, I must put an external mic on this. Good viewing out of it as well. It's got loads of tug on it. Again, this bike, 4,000 revs, as soon as you start hitting that, you're building up and building up and building up. It is just a lovely bike. Ah, Picasso people, look at that for a Picasso today. Wow. Sun directly in our face. Bright low sun. But an absolute beautiful day. What we like on fuel? 103 miles left on fuel. That's the other thing about it. It's really good economically. Get about 50 to 60 to the gallon out of it, to be quite honest. When I went round the ride round Derbyshire with my nephew, amazing returns on it, 200 plus. And what's been going on? What videos have I been watching? Watch a bit of E! News going out. Hope you're okay, bud. You enjoying that new Royal Enfield, the Gorilla, I think it's called. Never ridden one yet. I've not ridden the new Himalayan, to be honest. And I was watching, what was I watching that took me interest? I don't know whether it's called All About Bikes or One Man on a Bike, talking about the way dealerships are going bust and the way it's changing. Really good video, and you know, a lot of truth in what he said, because bikes now, the way we buy bikes has changed. You know, going back from, if I go back to like the 80s, when I passed my test, and we'll bring this up actually on the driving test. So I was talking to a young girl a couple of weeks ago who just passed the test, and she'd done it up to the A2, I think it is. So she hadn't done the full test, but she'd been through the test. She'd done the CBT, and then she'd done the test, and she could ride up to a restricted A2 licence. And I just thought, what an absolute scam! What an absolute scam these governments and these scumbags are doing. She's passed the test. When she goes and takes the test again, it won't be any different. The test will be exactly the same on a bike that allows her to ride any power. You know what I mean? And so she's paying twice. And if I go back to the days when I passed my test in 1981, 82, sorry, when I passed my test. My test was in Old Trafford. We come up, we met the instructor, and the instructor turned around to us and said, took our details, our licence, our provisional licence, asked us to do an eye test. So we had to look at a car from a distance and read out the registration plate. Then he asked us some highway code questions. And then he said to me, he didn't get on a bike. He stood outside the centre. He said, go to the end of the road, turn left, and then turn left again, and then I'll step out and put my hand up, and you to stop. That's an emergency stop. And that was my test. I went around the block. My test took 10 minutes. And you know, good or bad, that's what it was in them days. It was just, there was nothing involved in it. And then I learned how to ride, because when you pass your test, you've passed something that you have to memorise. You learn how to ride when you're like this in the road and you're looking around and you're getting aware of what is around you and how to ride the bike. You learn to look over your shoulder. You learn to use your indicators. You learn to know how to ride. And that just like anything, like a job that you're learning. It takes practice. Anyway, that's that. So I've gone off the realm with what I started with. Now, going back to the Auto Trader. Auto Trader used to be the main thing where people bought bikes and cars, and it used to be a paper book, a magazine, and it used to, I think it come out on a Thursday, it come out, what I remember rightly, but I remember when it started, it was 12 pages thick. It started, so you'd look in there and you'd look for your bikes, and first of all it started off local and then it ended up national. But it weren't like the internet, and you had the dealers that you had in them days were, where I lived was, if people remember it, in Manchester, there was Not Mill Kawasaki, there was BJ West, there was City Motorcycles. You didn't have test rides. When I thinking back, I didn't have a test ride. Anyone that bought a new bike or a bike in the 80s, right? Because I know your era watched me. Let me know in the comments when you went and bought a bike from the showrooms or from the garages. Did you test ride it or did you just go in and buy it? And like finance weren't so easy to get in them days. They weren't credit cards, people. And this is what people do not understand. Going back when I was, when I was 17, there weren't credit cards. Didn't have it. Or there was, I think, National Express or American Express for the mega rich had it. I think that was the first credit card that was out. They weren't credit cards. If you wanted a loan, you went to your bank and then your bank manager would say, and you've seen a bank manager, you didn't do it online, you walked into the bank and you applied for your loan. And like me, when you just first started your job, they'd go, well, we need collateral in some way. Bring your dad in, or bring your granddad or his granddad in to sign for it for you. That's the way it was. There wasn't PCP. But when you did finance, they weren't extortionate rates. They weren't 30%, 29%, what they are. I mean, some of them are 9. On average, they're about 5%. And people that think, oh, the bikes were much cheaper then. Well, let's get to that, like all these people calling us, I think I'm a Gen X, they call me, whatever it is. So, my first job, I earned £16.50 and I worked 45 hours, 5.5 days a week. That's what I worked. So all you little 20-year-olds now that are complaining about, oh, can't get no money and I can't buy an house. I couldn't buy an house then. And when I got to 22, which was the most money, started on the buses, again, 50 hours a week for £125 a week. And admitting you weren't scammed with VAT, which is 20%, which in them days I think was 10. Don't even think it was that. You weren't stolen from the likes of gas and electricity, what them people steal from you. So there's taxes that you've been robbed by the government, that has made it a bit more difficult. But when I bought my house, you had to earn 2.5 times your wages. You can, I think they times up to 5 times now. And you took a mortgage up to 55 years of age. Now you can take up to 75, which is madness. So, getting back as well now to this man with the bikes. When dealerships go in bust, I think the problem with dealerships now is they've got too much cost. You know, premises, most of them probably don't even own the premises. A lot of them will rent or lease the buildings that they're in, where the old ones would have owned the premises. National insurance, wages. I mean, people go on about what they have to pay in wages, what they have to pay in servicing. Dealers don't make that much money out of brand new bikes. And then people go, oh well, like my Royal Enfield, I went to sell it back and they only offered me £3 and I paid £5.5 for it. I quoted this bike, which is nearly £8, on We Buy Any Bike, and they offered £5.5. And that was just tested to see what it was, £5.5. Which we know is robbery, but then you've got the side behind it. They're doing it because they could sit on that bike. When I go into Superbike Factory and walk round, and that's why I do it, even Yules, when I go around Yules, you can see lovely bikes that are absolutely beautiful, but they've been sat, some of them are sat there 6 months. And this is the side people don't realise. Dealers ending up with bikes that they just can't move. They end up putting them into auction and losing money on them. I mean, Yules, it's really good. I've noticed that they've got a Yules website now where they're selling off old accessories and old bikes. So if you're Yules on eBay, jump onto there. There's some bargains. And that's what dealers have to do now. They have to diversify. It's no longer the days of just thinking that dealers are making mega money because they've got all the bikes in there. Because they're not. It's very difficult. So it's a bit of a it was a really good video. Explained it better than me, and he obviously sat into it and looked into it, but on the basics of dealerships and the way they work and how they work. It's like most of the bikes that they've got in the showrooms, they actually like Honda, they probably supply them the bikes, but they have to pay an interim payment to keep them, or an interest payment to have them bikes in that showroom. But anyway, what do you think of me CBR 650? She's riding well, isn't she? Seat's a bit harder than the NC, but she's new. She's only done 370 miles. It is a narrow bike, this bike. But it's lovely. You get now on 68, I've got a bit of buzzing going through my foot pegs. I've got a bit of buzzing going through my tank where my knees are on it. I've got a bit of buzzing going through my buttocks. Just a slight tingle. Handlebars feel alright, not much going through there, but I've got quite thick warm gloves on. And that's the other side when you go, oh, there's vibration. It depends what size gloves you've got on. All bikes vibrate, you can't stop them. So there's not much else. Gilly's bikes, I've seen Gilly doing, and I'll give one thing, if you've never seen Gilly's bikes, he does all the, he does the rides for Into Moto, so he takes the bikes out, so any bikes that Into Moto have got, he'll take them out, and they've got some good bargains there, to be honest, you know. And if you want the likes of the Vogue DS 900, you'll get a good deal. Going there, Colin, Michael, Nathan, they'll work you out a good deal. And Andrea, yeah, you're an excellent dealer, just to let you know. She told me off last time I went in there, saying how much better Yule's was than everywhere else, but let's be honest, Yule's are exceptional. But so are you, so if you weren't, I wouldn't go in. As I say, I do love going in and nosing about, and that's the thing, even if you're not buying, going in nosy, because you never know, you're going in nosy, and you may just see one day something that is a bargain, that you like, a deal on. You may be first in there to get it. And I'm not just promoting dealers for dealers' sake, because I get nothing off them except stick when I go in there, to be honest. But they're just like us, the hard working people. You know, we love bikes, we ride them, they have to sit on a seat and watch us riding them. How would you like to do that? Right, and at that, I think I'm going to cut you off here, because I've run out of things to say, to be quite honest with you. I'm fed up of you, no one ever answers me back. I keep on asking you all, send me photos of your bikes, of why you've got it, why you buy it, what you like about it, your best photo, and I'll spend the time putting it together, and just like Tuesday with Dobbs, I'll put them together, and with a bit of luck, if you want to be seen on this magnificent YouTube, I'll put you on there. And look at this, people, no traffic, this is fantastic. It's not very often you come down here and there's no traffic. Not at all. And there's a cold breeze coming in now. Right, I'll make my decision on my CBR, my CB 650R. I keep on calling it the CBR. I'm really at that stage where do I just want to go down to one bike? Because the problem is, and you know, without any lies, I like getting on the NC. I just enjoy getting on the NC out of every bike I've ever had. I just find the NC the best bike to get on. Find it the most comfortable, the easiest to ride. It's like a big old settee that you're just really comfortable with. I've decided to start calling it the poor man's gull wing, because I think that's what it is. It's a poor man's gull wing, and it rides just as well. Right, at that, Birchwood Biker, ride safe, be kind to others. With luck, they'll be kind to you. So we'll see you in the next one.